the night of April 26, 1986, a date seared into history. But beyond the headlines of the Chernobyl disaster lies a story far stranger, whispered in the hushed tones of those who were there. For in the heart of the crippled reactor, something was awakening. These are the untold stories, the chilling eyewitness accounts from the shadow of the zone. When the explosion tore through Reactor 4, it unleashed more than just radiation. It ripped a hole in our understanding of reality. The first responders, the heroes who rushed into the inferno, spoke of things that defy explanation. They described a sky ablaze with colors never seen before, a rainbow of death hanging over the glowing ruin. But that was only the beginning. Deep within the sarcophagus, the concrete tomb built to contain the radioactive core, workers known as stalkers began their perilous missions. Their job was to monitor the still festering reactor. But they found they were not alone. One of the first and most terrifying encounters was with a creature they called the Blackbird of Chernobyl. Described as a massive, dark, winged creature with glowing red eyes, it was seen circling the smoke plumes rising from the reactor. Those who saw it were plagued by horrific nightmares and threatening phone calls from unknown numbers. Coincidence? Or was this dark omen a harbinger of the catastrophe? Then there were the sounds. In the dead of night, deep within the labyrinthine corridors of the plant, security guards would hear it. The sound of children's laughter echoing from empty hallways. Footsteps running in abandoned control rooms, where radiation levels were lethal. Some guards, hardened men who had seen the worst of the disaster, fled their posts in terror, refusing to return. They reported seeing the spectral figures of children playing, their laughter a chilling counterpoint to the Geiger counter's frantic clicks. Who were these phantom children? Were they spirits of the nearby city of Pripyat, forever trapped in this radioactive purgatory? The heart of the reactor, the so-called Elephant's Foot, is one of the most dangerous places on Earth. It's a massive molten corium, so radioactive that just a few minutes of exposure is a death sentence. Yet, stalkers tasked with photographing it returned with more than just pictures. Several claimed to see a shadowy, humanoid figure standing near the molten mass, seemingly unaffected by the lethal radiation. It would appear for a moment, a dark silhouette against the faint glow of the corium, before vanishing into the shadows. They named it the shadow of the zone. Some believe it to be a guardian, others a manifestation of the disaster itself. The photographs, of course, showed nothing but the deadly radioactive sludge. The mysteries weren't confined to the plant itself. The surrounding red forest, named for the pine trees that turned a ghostly ginger color before dying, became a hotbed of paranormal activity. Military patrols reported seeing strange lights dancing between the dead trees, lights that would lead them in circles for hours before disappearing. They spoke of a disorienting temporal fog, where time itself seemed to warp. Compasses would spin wildly, and electronic equipment would fail without reason. Men would become lost for days in an area they knew like the back of their hand, only to re-emerge with no memory of the lost time. Perhaps one of the most disturbing accounts comes from a team of scientists who ventured into the sarcophagus in the late 90s. They were there to install new sensors, a routine but dangerous task. As they worked near the reactor core, they heard a clear, distinct voice. It wasn't human. It was described as a low, guttural growl that seemed to come from the very walls around them. It spoke in a language none of them recognized, a series of clicks and deep tones. Terrified, they finished their work and fled. The audio recordings they made captured nothing but the ambient hum of the machinery and the crackle of radiation. The stories continued. Workers reported tools moving on their own. Heavy steel doors, sealed for years, would be found wide open. Whispers seemed to follow them down corridors, always just out of earshot. Some even reported a feeling of being watched, a malevolent presence that filled them with a sense of dread they couldn't shake. Was it merely the psychological toll of working in such a dangerous and desolate place? Or was the immense energy released by the explosion so powerful that it tore a hole between dimensions, allowing something else to cross over? Decades later, the Chernobyl exclusion zone remains a place of mystery and fear. The radiation has begun to recede, and nature is slowly reclaiming the abandoned city of Pripyat. But the stories persist. New generations of stalkers, urban explorers who illegally enter the zone, report the same strange phenomena. The feeling of being watched, the inexplicable sounds, the fleeting glimpses of things that shouldn't be there. They tell of a heavy, oppressive atmosphere that has nothing to do with radiation, a sense of an ancient, sleeping power that was disturbed that fateful April night. What truly happened at Chernobyl? We know the scientific facts of the explosion, the meltdown, the fallout. But the eyewitness accounts paint a different picture. a picture of a world touched by something beyond our comprehension. The Black Bird, the Phantom Children, the Shadow of the Zone. These are the ghosts of Chernobyl, and their stories, whispered from the contaminated shadows, suggest that the real horror of the disaster is not what was lost, but what was left behind. The zone keeps its secrets well, and perhaps some mysteries are best left unsolved. Thanks for watching. If you found these stories as chilling as we did, be sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you don't miss our next dive into the unknown. See you next time.